Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good day. I bid to all. Welcome to our highly immersive program. I am Nurul Huda Yasmin and together with me is Farah Nur Alia. We are semester 2 Form 6 students from Form 6 Center of SMK KELADI, KULIM KEDAH Darul Aman. It is my pleasure to welcome everyone to our live streaming session entitled International Podcast, Effective Speaker with our special guest, Ms. ATIQAH NAZIR, Co-founder Global Teacher Conversation Malaysia, Mr. ARNOB KUMAR SAHA, Manager BRAC, Manager Office of Career Service and Alumni Relations BRAC University Bangladesh, Madam KOGILA RAMAKRISHNAN, SISC Plus Language and Madam Nur Suhana Abdul Rahman, KULIM Bandar Baharu Education District Office, Kedah, Malaysia as our studio master for today. I am glad all of you are able to be with us. I would like to express my utmost gratitude to Mr. Muhammad Hassan bin Hamadi, Students Talent Development Sector, Kedah Educational Department, Mr. Abdul Rashid bin Abdul Rahman, KULIM Bandar Baharu Education Officer, Ms. ATIQAH NAZIR, co-founder of Global Teacher Conversation for making this program successful. A very special thanks to all awesome international panel of interviewers, international students participants, educators, teachers and students, not to be forgotten, Madam Suhana as our studio master who are able to join our HIT program for today. Over to you, Farah.
Thank you, Huda. Ladies and gentlemen, to kickstart our program for today, it is my pleasure to invite Brother Amirul Hakim bin Mat Zaki to recite the prayer. Please welcome Brother Amirul to recite the prayer. Over to you, Amirul.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya Allah, thanks belong to you. You deserve all thanks. Thanks be to you for your experience. Ya Allah, Ya Alim, Ya Hakim, please bring us out of the darkness of doubt and fearfulness with the light of the knowledge. Ya Allah, open to us the doors of your mercy and afford us the treasure of your knowledge by your mercy. Ya Allah, the most merciful of the merciful ones. Ya Allah, make useful for us what you taught and teach us knowledge that will be useful to us. Ya Allah, may our tongue full of your remembrance and our heart with awe of you. Ya Allah, may you do whatever you wish and you are our obey and protection and best of it. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والحمد لله.
Thank you, Brother Amirul. How are you feeling today, Farah? I'm so excited for today's program. And without further ado, I will pass this studio to my lovely teacher, Madam Haja Aisha binti Haji Osman, as the coordinator of today's program. The floor is yours, Madam.
Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Huda and Farah and all other guests. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Allah, for giving us this golden opportunity to be together in our highly immersive program, International Podcast Effective Speaker. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Mr. Muhammad Hassan bin Hamali, Student Talent Development Sector, Kedah Educational Department, Mr. Abdul Rashid bin Abdul Rahman, Kulim Bandar Baharu Education Office, Madam KOGILA Ramakrishnan, SISC Plus English Language, Kulim Bandar Baharu Education Office, Ms. ATIQAH NAZIR, co-founder of Global Teacher Conversation, our strategic partner for international networking, and last but not least, my dedicated principal, Mr. Jafar bin Mukhtar. Amazing teachers and students from Form 6 Center of SMK KELADI, KULIM BANDAR, Form 6 Senior Assistant, Ms. Rafiza bin Ahmad, and my Form 6 teachers and students. You know who you are, guys. A long list, isn't it? Not to be forgotten, Form 5 students and teachers from SMK KELADI KULIM BANDAR, Sir Ahmad Azrul, Teacher Mazmin, Teacher Nurul Aini, from Form 6 College of Kulim, Teacher Amiza, Teacher Nur Hayati, Teacher Rohani, Sultan Salahuddin College Form 6, Teacher Zuhaida, Form 6 Centers, Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Dasang 2, Sabak, Teacher Patricia, Form 6 Center of SMK Penati Penang, Sir Fahim and Teacher Mazlini, the Center of Form 6 student, SMK Sri Budiman Grade Perak, Madam Vina, Kangar Vocational College, Perlis, Madam Hasmi, Rasa Q High School, Cambodia, Miss Sovatana, Dream School, Mongolia, Miss Jasmine. I have to mention all of the names because they really put their effort to this program. Ladies and gentlemen, not to be forgotten, my dedicated and professionals from India, Sri Lanka, Peru, Pakistan, United Kingdom, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Philippines, Thailand, India, Mongolia, and of course, Malaysia. Alhamdulillah. Ladies and gentlemen, let me share with you the chronology of our program. We started the event by assigning our student to draft a cover letter and CV to apply a job as an executive in March. Then there were 2 briefing sessions, which we had in March and May for the teachers and students on how to complete the task using Google Meet and Telegram group to communicate. Then the teachers facilitate the learning process and preparation of the student work in the classroom, Google Classroom, Google Search Engine, and Canva together to be used to complete their assignment. Then today, all of the teachers and students in the online international mock job interview session with 12 different countries and 2 international schools. We had 18 separate Google Meet rooms for all teachers and students. What an experience. Our students and myself did a lot, learned a lot in the process. There were some challenges that we had, but the satisfaction of giving and helping the teachers and students is the most valuable part of the learning curve. Ladies and gentlemen, there were 20 professionals internationally involved, 25 teachers, and 200 students nationwide and internationally. Alhamdulillah, thank you Allah. Thank you for each and every one of you who is involved. Now, the final part is our international podcast, Effective Speaker, with our special guests, Madam KOGILA, Miss ATIQAH, and Mr. Anna. Thanks a million, all of you. With that, I'm going to sign off. For the teachers and educators who would like to collaborate with Form 6 Center of SMK KELADI KULIM BANDAR or Global Teacher Conversation, please find us in our social media. With that, I raise my hands. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Over to you, the ANSIs. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very, very much to the one and only teacher Aisha, our lovely white teacher, for giving the speech just now. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day I think to all of the viewers out there. Please be with us until the end of the live show. Please comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. Over to you, Huda.
Thank you, Farah. ladies and gentlemen, to all the viewers out there, it is a great pleasure to invite our special guest, Ms. ATIQAH Nazir, Mr. ARNOB Kumar Saha, and Mila Ramakrishnan to introduce themselves. We will start with Ms. ATIQAH Nazir first. The floor is yours, madam.
I'm using my own internet lah. Hi Farah. Hi Huda. Hello. Hi everyone. Sorry, I got disconnected in a bit just now. Hi everyone. Assalamualaikum. My name is ATIQAH. I'm from Global Teacher Conversation. I'm one of the co-founders to the teacher community. I'm here also as one of the panel interviewer for mock interview that was hosted by SMK KELADI this morning. So yeah, I'm excited to be here to just talk a little bit more about speaking and how to be an effective speaker. Nice to meet you, Farah and Huda.
Okay, thank you, Ms. ATIQAH. Now, we would like to invite Mr. ARNOB Kumar Saha to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see you all. I'm Arnob Kumar Saha, and I'm actually currently talking to you from Bangladesh. I work at an university called BRAC University, where I manage the Office of Career Services and Alumni Relations. Over the past 10 years, my career has been entirely focused on training, recruitment, and guiding youth on certain soft skills and also hard skills. So since my background was that, I'm really privileged to be welcomed by you all and invited to this special event that I'm really proud to be here. And thank you so much for everyone for inviting me to this event.
Thanks, Mr. Arnob. Then, we would like to invite Madam KOGILA Ramakrishnan. Madam KOGILA, your turn now.
And you can hear my voice. I'm KOGILA Ramakrishnan, the SISC class of KULIM BANDAR BAHARU, PPD KULIM BANDAR BAHARU. I'm excited to be here. And basically, I work with teachers and my area of specialization is English. And it is fun and exciting to work with students today. You know, and I am overjoyed to see students hosting the event today. It went great in the morning as I was also one of the co-interviewer. And thank you, SMK KELADI, for hosting such good event. So, yep, let's start.
Thanks, Madam KOGILA. Now, your turn, Farah.
Thank you, Huda. Excuse me, let me start the coffee talk session. I have one question for all of you. Who is an effective speaker? Let us hear from Ms. ATIQAH first. Maybe you can share the experience that you had with the students just now during the international online module interview.
I think the very foundation of what makes a person is an effective speaker is whatever you say, it makes someone else either understand or do the things that you want them to do. Because that means your speech is effective, right? So if I were to choose one of the candidates from my room this morning who is an effective speaker, I would say Hannah. I would like to shout out to Hannah because her words, her choice of words, and how sincerely she tried to convey her responses to questions really make an impression on me. So I think what her trying to say has made an effect in a way that I feel, oh, this story is genuine. This story is really from her own experience, and this is really good. And outside of the context of interview, I think the most effective speaker of all of us should be our parents, right? Because whatever they say, whatever they ask us, we will do. Hey, so I would say our parents is our first effective speaker.
Thank you, Ms. ATIQAH, for your fabulous answer. Now, we would like to invite Mr. ARNOB Kumar SAHA to... Now, thank you, Ms. ATIQAH, for your fabulous answer. What about you, Mr. ARNOB? Who is an effective speaker? Please share your comments on the international online job interview just now too.
All right. So an effective speaker is basically someone who can connect with the audience. That means even during the interviews that I have taken so far in the morning, one thing was very significant, which is the person who was bold, who was confident, and could connect to the speaker are the ones who could actually pass the message on to the listener. And that is the person who is an effective speaker. But also, when someone speaks, if he or she can grab the attention of the crowd, then definitely that person is an effective speaker. Whether it's offline or even online, I think one thing that matters the most is how the audience is actually listening to the speaker. If the person can grab the audience, the attention, as well as also can understand the audience, can relate to the audience, I think that person is well known as the effective speaker. Thank you.
Farah, I think you need to unmute. Yeah, you have to unmute your mic. We can hear you, Farah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Now your turn, Mr. KOGILA. What is your point
Yes,
of
yes.
view on who is an effective speaker?
Okay. Where the interview is concerned this morning, we had lots of capable speakers, who really knew their stuff actually. We can, you may ask whatever it is and they can answer. They can answer you. So it was quite good. The preparation was good. So to me, effective speaker is all about how you know your stuff, how you know your material, how you know to go about answering questions, and you have to be on task as well, right? And that also comes with a little self-awareness, on what to answer and when to answer. And all this actually is will actually is actually from a person who has high self-esteem, who is well prepared, and he or she knows the stuff well, meaning that the content that they want to speak about for that day. All right. And also being passionate, being passionate over issues or activities that you want to do or you want to carry out, you want to talk about, that also, will actually contribute to being a good speaker. So I think during my interview session this morning, I had this boy in the group. I think his name is Akram. He was fluent. Not only fluent, he had this good self-confidence, and you can ask him anything and he just answers like that. So that was actually a very good choice of a good speaker. Yeah. All right, thank you. But everyone did well, definitely. Thanks.
That was great, Madam KOGILA. Thank you. Thank you to all of the wise panels for the answers. Ladies and gentlemen, so for this chat session, we will look at the chat box if there is any comments or question that we can discuss here. Madam Suhana, do we have any question or comments to be answered to? If you can share on the screen now. Thank you, Madam Suhana. Let us continue with the question. Ms. ATIQAH, please comment on that.
I see one comment from YouTube. Aisha has mentioned, perhaps Suhana can put this on the screen. How to know that you are an effective speaker, right? For me, right, it all comes down to whether your words gets across. Do people can understand what you're trying to say? If you're asking for something, if you're requesting for something, will they do what you do? Let's say I want you to pick a green bag from a group of green and orange bag. Will that person pick up a green bag or an orange bag, right? So to know whether you are an effective speaker or not, try to test whether other people can understand what you're trying to say, and whether other people will do what you ask them to do. I think that's like a very basic foundational way of identifying whether you are an effective speaker. Of course, there are other things that you can do to sort of give a little extra in terms of how you present yourself. Are you confident, like Miss Kogi mentioned just now, right? Know what you're talking about, right? Have confidence in what you're talking about. These are the extra stuff. What I'm trying to tell you here is the basic stuff. That means, do people understand what you're trying to say? Secondly, do people do what you ask them to do, right? So check on those two first. Maybe Mr. Arnob, Miss Kogi has anything extra that they can add on?
Yeah, like I said earlier, that someone who can definitely have a comment on the audience and control of the audience, and someone who can relate to the audience and audience mindset. I think those people are the most effective speakers. Plus also someone who can grab the attention, hold the attention span for a long time. I think those are wonderful, effective speakers. So yeah, let's hear from Ms. Kogi as well.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Arnob, for your fabulous answer. Madam KOGILA, please share your thought.
All right. I'm not unmuted. Hi. Actually, a lot of things have been shared by Ms. Atika and Mr. Arnab just now. Yes, those are vital strategies to be effective speaker, right? More to that would be how calm you are, how calm and poised you are in handling certain issues, especially handling questions, and, there would be an aura of a good speaker. Once the speaker starts speaking with the gestures and the body language from the speaker itself, that would also can be considered as one of those ways or styles of being an effective speaker, right? So these are the things that you can consider, body language, how calm you are, and how much you know the content, as what Ms. Atika and Mr. Arnab has said. So these are the things that you can consider, and once you realize that you have them, then you are eligible effective speaker.
I think our friend Farah did not realize she's muted.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thanks, Mr. KOGILA. For our viewers, if you have any question, you guys can comment in the chat box, and of course, our special guest would like to answer it. Over to you, Buddha.
Thank you, Farah. Now, I would like to ask to our special guest, why do we have to be an effective speaker? I'm sure that our viewers would like to know too. Let us start with Miss Atika first. Can you?
Sure, no problem. So why do we have to be an effective speaker, right? So humans are social creatures, and we communicate to either say or ask for what we want, like I said earlier. So imagine you're not getting through to people, how frustrating it is for you to live. Because we're social creatures, because we constantly be in communication with each other. If you're not speaking effectively, if what you're trying to say, other people doesn't even understand what you're trying to say, or you try to ask for help from friends or younger siblings, and they did not do what you did, it will be so frustrating, isn't it? So this is why we need to improve ourselves in speeches, and we need to be an effective speaker. It's basically our
Thank you, Miss Atika.
survival.
Excuse me, Mr. Arnob Kumar. How about you? Why do we have to be an effective speaker?
All right. So I think it's very important that in the middle of crowd or in the middle of audience, you definitely, the person who's speaking needs to guide the audience, need to have the attention, plus also make the audience satisfied with whatever you are definitely speaking. So if someone is not really satisfied, the audience, then definitely the message has not been passed, right? So it's very important that the speaker has a purpose, the speaker has a reason or message or objective, which he or she has to pass on to the audience. So if someone is carrying that objective and taking that objective into account, that person is speaking, then definitely the person can pass the message to the audience. Also, it's very important that the speaker feels very accomplished right after what he or she speaks, and then the person can understand that that person is an effective communicator. Also, not just speaker, we also tell them communicator, because it's important that you communicate your message, pass your message, and fulfill your objective. Something else that I want to also add to the features of a good effective communicator is someone who can actively listen to the audience. It's important that in this era where people are mostly talking about a lot of things they have done, it's very important one should also listen to the audience and see where the audience is, in which level. And once the person knows exactly where the audience is, they can pick up the pace. And according to that pace, that speaker can customize their tone, their gesture, their posture, and then ultimately communicates to the audience. So I think these are very important tools to be an effective speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arnob. Now, your turn, Madam Kogila. What is your point of view on why do we have to be an effective speaker?
Thank you, Huda. So actually, what Mr. Arnab said is very true. Because we need to know our audience. In order for us to be effective speakers, we need to know who our audience are. What are their social economical status, or what are their educational background? Where do they come from? In order for us to speak to them, right? And another thing is that you also need to know of the location of the speech. I mean, where is the speech going to take place, right? Is it an interview? Is it a public speaking? Who is going to be there? What kind of equipment you're going to use? Like today, just take an example of today. We had so much of technical issues, right? We had internet issues. Even now, while we are doing this podcast, we are still having issues. So how do we tackle that? How can we be composed and calm, but we know that issues are happening around us, right? So that would be an effective speaker, right? How we handle these conflicts of, within us, around us, and how we can still stay calm, like Mr. Arnab and Ms. ATIQAH, right? Like Farah and Huda right now, you guys are so calm just to make this happen. So this actually is one of the most important factor of being an effective speaker, right? Okay, back to you, Huda or Farah.
Thank you, Madam Kogila. I totally agree with the statement given by our speaker. Now, your turn, Farah.
Thank you, Huda. Let us come back to our coffee talk session. We have another question for all of you guys. How a student like me can be an effective speaker? Let us start with Miss ATIQAH.
It always starts with me. It's okay. So this is based on my observation as I was teaching in the classroom for 2 years, back when I was teaching. And also my own observation when I was also a student, right? Perhaps those who are listening, those who are watching our live streaming, if you are a student, if you are a teacher, perhaps you can reflect whether this happened in your own classroom or not. Maybe Huda and Farah also can think, oh, does this happen in my classroom? So when the teacher asks, do you have any question? What do you think will happen to that classroom? And utter silence, right? Or when teacher, when teacher said, oh, anyone have any suggestion? Anyone have any comments? Anyone have any feedback on today's lesson? Yeah, suddenly the class becomes like a cemetery, as we call it, right? So for students, right? For students to practice in order for you to be an effective speaker, I would say take active participation in class. How can you actively participate in class? You ask questions. There is nothing wrong. There is not a sin to ask questions. Please ask questions to your teachers. Because by asking questions, not only that you are practicing how you want to communicate your message across, you are also trying to get more knowledge that way. Ask questions. Who knows, right? Actually, your friends are also wanting to ask the same question, but they're either too shy to do so or they would not be bothered to. So you take that opportunity to practice to become an effective speaker by asking questions. 2, form and share opinion. A lot of things that we talk in the classroom actually are based on our social life, are based on our daily life. Sometimes the teachers also want to know what happened with you, right? So share your opinion, no matter how small your opinions are. When you form your opinion, you share your opinion, this is also how you can practice to become an effective speaker. This is what I can say for a student, since you're asking me for a student. So I'm giving you a tip. What you can do is to actively participate and share opinions, ask questions in the classroom. This is what you can do in the classroom. Okay. Let me popcorn this right away to Mr. Arnob then.
Thank you. I was gonna go next. I was totally sure. So I'll basically give you 7 tips to actually be a very good communicator. So let's start with number 1. One is identify your objectives. The very first thing that you really need to do before you start speaking of anything is identify your objectives. Second, listen actively. So as I mentioned earlier, while you speak, you also engage with the audience. You ask questions, like Ms. ATIQAH has mentioned. If you ask a general question, no one will answer. But if you ask them very interactive question, make the speech very interactive, then definitely people will engage with you. So, and then listen to the audience, what they're trying to say. Did they understand you or not? Then definitely you need to customize your speech accordingly or communication accordingly. Third, note your body language. It's very important that while you are standing or sitting or facing or making eye contacts, you are facing the audience and you definitely are looking at every single fractions of the audience. Like look towards your right, look towards your left, and definitely you're straight ahead so that you connect with everyone that you are that's there in the room. And also make your posture very like active, so that it's not like you are slouching, you are drowsy, you are sleepy. If you are sleepy, then you will make your audience sleepy as well, for sure. So definitely you should not be having a weak posture, weak energy, so that then your audience will also will be lack of energy as well, and then they will not listen to you. So definitely body language. Third. Fourth, know your audience, who you are trying to speak to. It's important that you customize this according. So if it's students, you need to break down your thoughts into very clear ideas and then speak to them. If you are talking to teachers, then you definitely need to have like good facts or good logic to back up your idea or opinions. And if the audience is someone, let's say, who's a toddler, who's just a child who doesn't know anything at all, definitely you need to communicate accordingly. Maybe you need to make more gestures instead of logical words. So it's all depends of your audience. Fifth, pace yourself. It's very important that the audience is understanding you and taking everything and then letting it sink. So try to understand if they're getting the ideas fully. If they're already getting it, then you probably need to pace up because maybe time is running out. Or if it's you have time, you definitely need to make the audience understand very well, then pace it very slow. Pace it down to slowly and then make the audience understand everything. 6, choose the right time. So once you introduce a new idea to the audience as an effective communicator, you definitely need to understand when to choose the right time. Like to definitely pitch the new idea right in the beginning or in the middle or in the end. It's important that you choose accordingly. And last but not the least, be very clear. So just for example, I was giving you 7 cues, 7 tips. So this is very important that you can connect with each of the different parts very clearly, because I was making my gesture. Like this is 1, this is 2, 3. So in that way, if you are very clear exactly what you're going to say, you definitely can connect with your audience. And then you will definitely be an effective speaker. So that's it. I'll just go through each of the points very quickly. So number 1, identify your objectives. Second, listen actively. Third, note your body language. Fourth, know your audience. Fifth, pace yourself. Sixth, choose the right time. And last but not the least, 7th, be very clear. That's it from my end. Thank you so much. I'll popcorn it.
All right, and yeah, thank you. I'm ready. All right. So I would like to adhere to the question. I would like to acknowledge the question before moving on to answering your question, Huda. Sometimes we have full of content, knowledge, but cannot convey or deliver it well. That this is from Cikgu Ceknat Nadia. Yeah, most of the times, it's not sometimes, it's most of the times, we have full of content. We know the content, we know the knowledge, but to convey, oh my God, how am I going to put it into words? You know, that is the major setback of our students. Why? The first thing is, I would like to address, just now Mr. Arnab said 7, right? Right now, I'm going to address 4 things. The first thing is because of the fluency. All right. So, firstly, fluency. We are so scared that we would not be fluent enough to make others understand. Come on, we are Malaysians. You know, use simple Malaysian English. You know, always keep that in mind. Communication is all about being understood, you know, and not being truly fluent by using bombastic words. So make it simple, keep it short, right? And make sure that you understand what you deliver, all right? And the next thing is, we are always afraid of making mistakes. Why? We are not perfect. We are not born perfect. So let's make mistakes. It's okay. When audience laugh, we laugh with them. All right? Don't make them laugh at you, but we laugh together. All right? And definitely when we make mistakes, we realize our mistakes and we come out of it. So that's when you can deliver better. All right. Thirdly, misunderstanding. We always have, you know, ambiguous sentences, right? Ambiguous is a very big word. It's like confusing sentences. You know, sometimes statements are confusing. Make it simple, right? We have most of the content with us, but choose what you want to deliver. Not everything needs to be said to the audience. Pick and choose what's important, or think about the priority. And lastly, the most important thing is for you to practice. Please practice using the language. Okay, it may be English, it can be Bahasa Melayu. So what is needed during the session? Is it what language is needed? Because language is just a bridge, you know, for the information to get through. So if it is English, you need to know what kind of words you need to use. Who are your audience, as what Mr. Arnab said, and practice doing it. Right? So that will actually make you a good and effective speaker. Right? So I think I've said a lot. So back to you.
Maybe I can add one more before Huda and Farah continue to the next section, because I also feel a lot when I saw Cikgu Cik Nadia's question here. Yes, people who are very well versed in what they do sometimes can fall into the pitfall of trying to explain from the level that they are at, instead of trying to communicate from the level of where the audience are at. So I might not have 7 or 4 tips, but I can definitely share one that I also put into practice. Regardless of whether my content is for adults or for a kid, I always ask this myself. Whenever I have content, I will look at it and ask myself, would a 6-year-old understand my content? Would a small kid become impacted or can get what I'm trying to say? Is this simple enough? Because we can easily get trapped in our own how to say this, complexity of the level of fluency in the knowledge that we have. Because, like I said, we're already out there. And instead of trying to understand on the level of people who might be 0 or 1, we always get trapped there in the level 10. Yeah, sometimes we're not sure how to convey ideas in English because English is not our daily language. Don't bother. I would say don't bother. It really depends on who your audience is, right? If your audience understand, that's good enough, right? If it's Malaysian English and your audience understand, that's good enough. Okay, so a lot of things when it comes to delivery, it's not so much the matter of whether you have very good command of the language. No, it's always the matter of whether we have the correct self-esteem and bravery or courage to actually say what we want to say if we're using other people's language. Okay, so yeah, ask yourself if this is simple enough, and two, if you're not sure whether or what you say in English is good enough, go talk to your friend, go talk to your family, go talk to your peers. I'm trying to say this, can you understand what I'm trying to say? If they say they understand, then that's good enough. Okay. All right, Farah, back to you.
Thanks, Ms. ATIQAH, for your opinion, for your perspective. I am sure it's crystal clear now on the topic that we have been discussing with all of our panels today. We have another question for our viewers. No. I'm sorry for the. Sorry. Excuse me, Ms. ATIQAH. I have another question for you. Can you name people who are famous for being an effective speaker? Please give some examples of name or names of effective speaker worldwide.
Oh, okay. Can I get a chance to pass this question over to someone else? Farah, I actually really like to take up on the question that we have from the comment earlier.
Yeah.
If we can.
Yeah. I think that would be good. I think yeah.
So there's a question on making sure that we have impact at the end of our speech. Okay. For making movies, right? I'm telling you from the process of making movies. You have to make impact from the beginning of the movie, in the middle of the movie, and at the end of the movie. And most successful movies usually have most impact at the beginning of the movie and at the end of the movie. But this is a movie. But what about speech? I would say don't stress too much whether to give impact at the beginning of your speech or at the end of the speech. I'd say pay attention instead to what is important to you. If that content is important to you, stress on that. If that content is important to your audience, right? Then stress on that during your delivery, during your speech, instead of making it big either at the beginning but not that have no content after that, or having no content but too big or too grand of a closing. I'd say impact is what benefit other people. Impact doesn't always mean fancy. For me personally, impact is what go through into my head and goes to my heart, and making sure I'm taking action to change my behavior after that. That's making impact. Okay, Farah?
Thanks, Ms. ATIQAH. That's such a really nice.
And Farah, just to add to what ATIQAH has said just now. Sorry. Okay, I'm jumping the gun. You see, it's always after ATIQAH is Mr. Arnab, right? So right now I'm changing it a bit. You know, I'm swaying the what you call that? I'm swaying the sheep, right?
Okay, that you must
okay. Just to add to what ATIQAH said just now. Yes.
Okay.
We don't need to look into I mean, whether it's the beginning or the middle part or the ending, right? So what is important and what is impactful? But you can always start with the hook, with the hook, meaning that it's not only for writing. You can always start with the story, you can always start with the statistic. And at the end of it, if you want it to be an impactful closing, as what we say, you can also put in some quotes, quotes by people, or you can also close with a story that has been close to your heart. That is all impactful ways of delivering your speech, right? So we can also do it in the beginning, as what Ms. ATIQAH said. We can also do it while you are delivering the whole speech, and you can also do it at the end. It can also happen in the interview. The normal question is, why do you want this job? Right? This is what they will ask in an interview. Why do you want this job? So you can start off with a very good, impactful story or a hook, and you can end with a quote, by doing this job, it's been, you can settle with a quotable quote that is so impressive, right? So that is what is important, when we talk about speaking, effective speaker, right? So I think I just added a bit on ATIQAH. So now I'm popcorning Mr. Arnob for the next question.
Thank you so much. I'll just add to this question. Very simple point. Very simple that you all can keep in mind is, before you start speaking or communicating, just make cue points, like very small bullet points about what you're going to speak. That's it. That's all you need in order to make an effective speech. And then focus on each of the bullet points, very elaborate on each of them with a maybe story, maybe example, or maybe something that is very relatable to the audience. And then what you do in the end, again, touch base on each of the points once again. Just go on with each of the points, just like how I mentioned about the 7 tips. If I would have just gone like, I would have said, this is the first one, second, third, fourth, fifth. You would have lost first one in the very beginning, right? So what you can do, you then revise at the end. That there are 7 things. So 1 is this, 2 is this, third is this, and done. So this is how, once you again relate back to the audience that these are the 3 things that I've talked about, the audience then retains it in their memory. So that's something that you can all practice. There's also a question in this in YouTube, like what will happen if an individual becomes an ineffective speaker? So something that popped in my mind is, actually, if someone is ineffective, then that person might confuse the audience. That is one, definitely, for sure. And also, he can or she can pass wrong message to the audience. For example, he or she is thinking about something, but passing on something else. What happens is, like, they or the person will lose the grip of the audience, and then the audience will lose trust on the person. It's very important that the person who's speaking grabs the trust. Otherwise, they will lose the audience. It's as simple as that. So that's it from my end, and I'll pass the floor back to Ms. Farah.
Is there another question from the viewers? The question is, my problem is the language barrier with Chinese students. Some didn't understand English at all. How to help them with the issues? Madam KOGILA, can you share your thought?
While Madam KOGILA is trying to configure her internet connection, perhaps I can jump in and share my response on this question. People always think, oh, if I master a certain language, then my problem is solved, right? To me, being able to speak a few language myself, I found out that language is not your problem solving genius. Language is not By having that language alone doesn't mean that your problem will just magically disappear, right? Our challenge here is Chinese student didn't understand English. Well, we also need to understand, being Malay myself, that we have a different first language. With Chinese students, they have different first language. They have Mandarin or Hokkien, right? Or Cantonese in some parts of Malaysia. So knowing and acknowledging that, we must understand that they need to be interested in other language before they can take up the language. Same as how we study. If we're not interested at all to study biology, no matter how many books we read, no matter how good our tutors are, the chances of us having the proficiency in that subject will be very little. So same with language, right? I would suggest to Cikgu Nurhayati Pauzi here to create a rapport, to build that relationship with student first. Find out what they like, find out about their life, have relationship first. And then we could go even deeper to understand what is it exactly that block them from being interested to learn English or being interested to learn in studying in English or using English, right? Because right now, it sounds like the Chinese students of hers are rejecting to use English in their daily communication. So there must be a reason. Once she knows this reason, she can put in strategies, or she can put in ways of problem solving to that reason first, before she goes, okay, I give you all these 500 vocabularies, I give you all these books. No, before that, understand their situation first. I would say that should be her first priority and her first step. Arnob, you might want to share something?
Absolutely. While I was here listening to you, I was like recalling some of the memories of my teaching years in Teach for Bangladesh. When I started teaching, I used to teach in an underserved community where they actually used to speak only Bangla. They didn't know about English at all. And I had to make them understand the English curriculum. And now it was a dilemma whether to teach them English directly or the Bangla first. So what I did was definitely teach them the Bangla first. And then ultimately through Bangla, I had to start teaching them English. So if someone is not understanding the language you're trying to speak in, then you need to make the message relatable to their, according to their own language or symbols or whatever, the way that you can actually relate the message with them. So you can also try out something that I also used in the very beginning, which is drawing images with stick figures. That is a very effective tool, by the way. So if you just draw something, maybe you want to tell a story, and some of the speakers are totally, they don't really know or understand English at all, then they can definitely relate to your images. So maybe just in stick figures, draw some images like beginning of the story, middle of the story, end of the story, 3 different images, and then tell the story and highlight some of the important events of the story through the images itself. Maybe you can even, before giving the lesson, you can print some pictures, find some images from Google, and then print the pictures, maybe starting, main event, middle, main event, and then end. So you have 5 pictures. So when you are telling the story or when you are making them understand something, show them the first one, and then you talk about it. Show them the second one, talk about it. Third one, talk about it. Then what happens? Even if they can hardly relate to your language, they can definitely relate to your image, and that totally drills into your mind. And then whenever you make them recall something, they will definitely recall the image first. So try that out. I think that would be also an effective tool through which you can teach them anything with your own language. Thank you. I'll pass on the floor to Miss Huda now.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Thank you so much for all of your amazing answer. Okay, now let us watch the video. The floor is yours, Madam Sana. Okay, I'm sorry, we have a line connection problem. Okay, now the okay.
When it don't work out for the better, if it just ain't right, and it's time to say goodbye.
Thanks, thanks, Madam Sana. Look at how the time has invited us so much. It seems like an hour and a half is not enough for this lovely sharing session. Worry not, if there is no obstruction in the future time, we will have this session again in the future. The time of our session has come to an end. Over to you, Farah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of the international podcast effective speaker. Thank you very, very much, Ms. ATIQAH NAZIR, Mr. ARNOB, SAHA, and Madam KOGILA RAMAKRISHNAN for sharing the valuable information with us today. We hope that all the viewers will remember all the tips given by Ms. ATIQAH NAZIR, Mr. ARNOB SAHA, and Madam KOGILA RAMAKRISHNAN just now. Dear teachers and students, do not forget to fill in the Google form for the exit ticket and digital certificate. I also would like to express most gratitude for our special guests, teachers and students from six centers and vocational college. You have done a great job for supporting our international podcast effective speaker for today. I am Farah Alia with Nurul Huda Yasmin signing off. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.